Hey, gang, it's Darryl Davis, and another interview with a great power agent, Mark Gleason. Hey, Mark, how are you?
Great, Darryl. Good to be with you.
So let's start off by you giving your contact information, so that way if people want to refer business to you, chat with you, ask questions, all that good stuff.
Sure. Yeah. Again, I'm Mark Gleason. I'm a realtor in Grand Haven, Michigan, which if you know anything about Michigan, we're right here on the opposite side of the state from Detroit, right on the shores of Lake Michigan. Been selling real estate for 38 years. The best way to get a hold of me would be probably my website, soldbygleason.com. You can email me right there and get all of our products and services, everything you might want to know about real estate. Get a hold of us.
Awesome. Thanks, Mark. Now, I'm curious, Mark, how did, or for people to know, how did we meet? What was our first encounter?
I saw you at an NAR conference. Oh, I don't know how many years ago. That's scary. 20, 30,
Yeah.
somewhere along those lines. And I just kind of followed your story and watched your success and watched your star. Loved the smile.
Yeah.
I loved a lot of what your content was. It was powerful, but it wasn't overpowering. And so that's kind of how I came to follow you for many years.
All right, very good. Now you, and by the way, I really appreciate you squeezing this in because I know how busy you are between your business, your real estate. How many listings do you have right now?
I have 23 listings.
23 listings. You know, we are coming to the end of the year. This video is probably, the interview will probably be posted in whenever it is, but coming to the year 2019, what are you on track to doing, would you say, production-wise?
We're probably going to come in dollar-wise just a tad under 20 million with probably between 85 and 90 transactions.
That's incredible. And you actually, in addition to all this, you're just finishing up your book. Is this your first book?
No, Darryl, I've written 35 books. So this book is coming out in 2 weeks, could be 3, depends on the printing process. So this book is called Say It Sold, 50 Things You Must Do to Close 100 Properties in 1 year.
Okay.
So this is kind of a little different because a lot of our books aren't real estate. They're motivational, inspirational, educational, just kind of get people where they need to be with the right enthusiastic attitude.
Okay, well, first of all, I'm very embarrassed that I didn't know you wrote that many books, and so there you go.
Don't be embarrassed. That's okay.
That's just a lot of books. I thought I wrote a lot, and it's only 3.
That is a lot. That is a lot.
You're being very good in play. Now I am curious how, just to offshoot a little bit here, how does one write that many books?
Starts with reading, and that's one of the things that I have. One of the 50 things you must do to sell 100 properties in 1 year is read. I read probably between 225 books a year.
Wow.
I make a lot of time for really important things like you got to read to exceed, write to excite. I say you've got to learn to earn. And so those are just basic, non-negotiable items. 2012, when I really began the writing spree, I read 1,400 books in 1 year. Now, that's with turning off the TV. That's backing down on social media. We did a lot less transactions, but I just kind of went all in right then and wrote parts of 8 books that year. So that's what I like to do.
So you're saying I want to move my mic a little closer to me. So you're saying to write that many books, a lot has to do with reading to write a lot.
No question in my mind.
Interesting. Why? We're going to get into real estate, but one last question on that. Why? Why? I think I can guess why, but why would you say that's true?
Why would I say that's true? Well, it's kind of a 2-part question.
Okay.
When I started, the reading goal was to read 200 books in 1 year, and I put a goal board up on my outside of my office where about 50 people could hold me accountable to that goal. And I asked my daughter, because that was about Thanksgiving Day 2011, And so I asked her, how many books do I need to read to get a 4-year degree? Because she has 2 master's degrees. And I wanted to, because of everything had so changed through 2008, 9, 10, 11 in the real estate market, I just felt I needed to really expand to keep up with what was going on.
Okay.
So the best way to do that was kind of set a goal to read those 200 books, which then morphed into 400. The goal moved up to 600, and we wound up reading 1,400. And so your mind becomes kind of like a conduit to your hand if you are really in the learning process. And so I was making notes, and a friend of mine said, note takers are history makers. And at the same time, I was taking probably 4 or 5 seminars a year, because I like to say live events change lives.
I love that.
I just can't quite get enough of that learning. And so because I'm not a real geek on technology, and I don't buy any internet leads, our whole business of real estate is built around customer extreme service. And that is just staying in constant communication with our past customers. So I say, your next transaction comes as a result of communicating with your past transactions. So it's so simple. So when you get into what the questions I'm going to assume you're going to ask me revolve around what we do in our real estate business.
Yep.
And a lot of that is right here in the new book. So
Okay.
not to plug my book or anything, but that's one of the books. So
that, I hope people didn't miss what you said, because you said some really valuable things in there. And but talking about the writing as the example of having a goal, putting it out of your head onto paper, hanging it up. And the most powerful thing you said is the accountability piece by you doing that, right? So that's all great stuff. I'm looking forward to reading this book, I'll tell you that. So let's jump into that. By the way, so you said we, so I'm sure people are wondering who the we is that has you doing this kind of business. So who's on the team?
Well, the longest member of the team is my wife. She's been licensed for 25 or 26 years now.
Okay.
We've been together 31, 32 legally, with probably another 3 or 4 before that. I don't want to say illegally, but.
Well, look, you just kind of lightened up when you said that there, Mark. Like you got all young and stuff.
Yeah, I did. I was like, oh, man.
Yeah, flashback.
Yeah. There's one other team member, and that's my future son-in-law.
Okay.
And he joined the team about 2.5 years ago. Now, in years past, I had as many as 14 people underneath me, and I was the rainmaker producing leads. Okay. My biggest year, I did 505 transactions.
Wow.
So I just made a lot of adjustments, because I found it's not what you make, it's what you keep. And there's lots of things that I think we got smarter about, that we were doing almost as much transactions with lots less. I wasn't running an adult daycare.
Right.
So I try to just have a small team. We're meeting constantly. We're constantly talking about what's going on in the marketplace. We're constantly seeing the inventory. We are like inventory junkies. We must know the inventory in our general area where we live. Maybe we work about a 20-mile sphere right around us, even though we sell in the state. But so that's one of the things in my book, is you must know the inventory. And I think 2010.
Now, hang on a second. Why is that important?
Well, buyers are so smart today. The sellers might be even smarter, and they know the inventory almost better than the agents do. And so I cannot have my clientele bring things to me that I say, oh, I haven't seen that home, or I don't know about that. After this many years doing this, I've just found that I have to have, one, the market knowledge, two, the product knowledge. And before I get that, before I move on to the people knowledge, I have to have those two important keys. And so we're constantly going through new inventory so that we know the market, and I can pretty much predict what the next sales will be because we've seen so much of it in our own marketplace.
Now, Mark, I want to highlight that because my broker, Mac, who's my mentor and most of what I teach in the Power Program, he was just what you're saying. I mean, every morning he would look at all the new listings, go through the data sheets, and
Yep.
he'd be on a listing appointment, and he'd be like a walking MLS. I mean, there's not a house. If a homeowner says, well, my neighbor, they got, X amount for their house. And you say, oh, you mean the 1010 Hana Lane? Actually, they just closed and it was actually at this price. And there was actually a little bit of a problem because it came off the market. Like he would know everything about the one house and the home would be, huh? So that's a powerful thing. And so I wanted to highlight that. I'm curious, do you look at the new listings that come on the market and say, how come we didn't list those? Or do you do any of that when you're looking at the new inventory?
I have a quote in my book about that. It says, if someone doesn't do business with you, is it their fault? So, yeah, sure, we have that all the time. There's another quote in my book that talks about you can't get all the business and you can't lose sleep over all the business, and you'll never really know why the people didn't choose you to be buy side or sell side, but maybe one day you'll find out. But you just can't stress about it because you can't get it all. But go back to your other point about your broker. I'm exactly the same way. I'm continually looking at the new MLS through the multi-list, through my computer, probably 20, 30 times a day. I'm looking at all the new inventory and I'm measuring lots of metrics. I'm constantly watching when the market is coming up and coming down. I'm telling when the seasons of the market are happening, and I measure that by when there's more listings than there is closings, when there's more price reductions than there is pendings, the market is downshifting and we're coming into the fall season of our market. Now, I'll give you a little bit of some of the statistics that I watch. I chart out by the month, year in, year out, exactly by every single month, exactly when our market goes up and exactly when it goes down. I do the exact same thing for my own team's business. I call it biorhythm feedback analysis. We measure when the deals get listed, when they get pended, and when they go to closing, and we lay them over the top so we can find when our peak productivity periods are. Personally, we do the same thing for our office and our marketplace so that we are able to sync when we're really effective and when our market's not as effective. And it's really eye-opening to do that. And I would suggest almost anybody that's in real estate, if you're really going to have longevity, you need to know when your real time is on.
Wow, I know there's probably half the agents that just heard you say that and they're like, oh my God, I can't do that. Their brains are not wired that way to understand their local market statistically. But I can see why that, I mean, not only would that be important, but that's really awesome that you do that. And it's a great business thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I break down the year by 6-month intervals. I just broke down the first 6 months of 2019 and as much as I could get in the second half of 2019. And I can share with you some statistics in my own marketplace.
Yeah.
Statistically, and I break it down by like $100,000 intervals. And I found that the second 6 months of the year, the properties are selling about in half the time as they did the first 6 months of the year. And they're selling for about 1 to 1.25% more in that second interval. So they're selling for a little more in a lot less time. Now that's just 2019. That's not all the other years.
Right.
And that can be substantially different based on weather patterns, interest rates, all kinds of different activities. So as you can see, statistical junkie that I am.
Yes, you are.
Constantly monitoring the activity and the flow, because it's the only way that I can get more money for my clients' properties than they can get for themselves. And that's the golden thing that real estate agents do for their clients, at least on the list side. The buy side, I say the number one job of a buyer agent, transaction coordinator, or whoever's working with the buyer is to, number one, get them the property. above everything else, above price, above terms, above condition, above inspections, everything. You've got to get them the property. And that's where a lot of the buying agents fall down, is they say, oh, but it won't appraise, and but the condition and the neighborhood, and I can't have them overpay, and all of these things that are stuck up in the buyer side agents' heads. Look at there's checks and balances, there's appraisers, there's inspectors, there's underwriters that let them do their part of the process. Your part as a buyer side is to get that property for that person. That's what they hired you to do.
That's another powerful distinction. Let me ask you, Mark, when you do these statistics, do you bring this on a listing appointment to show the homeowner?
Yes and no, Darryl. A couple key things I do with every single buyer and seller that I work with. The first thing I do is get on a first name basis, because it's the sweetest music to every buyer. Every seller is their first name. The second most powerful thing I do is what I call the occupational hierarchy of sales. What that is you must know what someone did or does for work, their occupation, because that's how I make my storytelling relate with them. If they're a police officer, I tell police officer stories. If they're a school teacher, we talk about kids and things in general. And so I have rated in my book the 7 or 8 most difficult occupations to deal with, because I've dealt with thousands of different occupations, and I can tell you what is the most difficult occupation, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, down the line. So when I find engineers, for instance, I can't give them too much statistical data. They love it. Another occupation, they don't want to know any of that stuff. They just want the Reader's Digest version. They just want to buy or sell. So I don't go into that. And that takes years of experience and being able to weave that into your buying, selling techniques. Now, let me take you back to when I first started selling. I was selling lollipops on the 3rd and 4th grade playground. And I found out that kids would buy Charms Blow Pops 2 to 1 over Dum Dums, because one, they wanted that bubble gum inside. And so then I tested the color, and I found out that grape Charms Blow Pops sold 2 or 3 to 1 of any other color. Okay, now where does that take me from there? From there, I started my own snake farm.
I do have to just say this. You were probably a real fun kid to hang out with.
Absolutely. Still am. Very fun. So I had my own snake farm. This is a beautiful thing. I raised snakes, and I got it in my head at about 10 or 11 that I could sell them things door to door. I'd put them in shoe boxes and knock on doors to get over the fear of rejection. I'd try to sell snakes. Now, that is a powerful thing. First of all, most people are afraid of snakes. Second thing is, most people aren't going to go door to door as a kid trying to sell something that nobody really wants. And I never really sold any at the door, but I did make some trades. So I started to learn that. And found out how human nature was receiving me, and I was able to talk with people. I could find out shaking people's hands, looking in their eyes, be able to tell body language, just lots of things that came at a very early age that helped me when I decided I was going to sell real estate. So there's no occupation quite like a realtor, though. That is, it takes all that. I think of that exciting thing when I get to call a client and tell them that they got the house. That squeal on the other end of the line of helping people is that's just gold. It's worth more than money.
Awesome. That's so awesome. Wow, that was such a great story about your childhood and doing the studies. I think that's also powerful about knowing that, like, that's really important, knowing a homeowner's job, what they do. As you know, I'm really big on the using metaphors and analogies. And so when you know what a person's job is, you can use their job, their career as the metaphor for when you're talking about why to hire an agent, right?
Every single buyer and seller I work with, I'm using those analogies And that is how people relate. That's how they relate. They're just, because they spend more time at work than they do sleeping or with their own family. It's powerful everything to them. And if you're able to connect on that level with someone else you know that works there, or you visited their plant, or you've been to their school, or you know someone that knows them, and you're able to marry that together, it just lets them down, gets them smiling, gets them shaking their head, and brings me to the point of I measure everything. I measure a lot of things with my dictaphone. And I like to go back because I like to record when I'm talking to my buyers and sellers. And I will measure how much time did I talk versus they talk. And if they are not talking twice as much as me, it's a problem. If I can get them talking, you have two of these and one of these, and that's the proportion you follow. Right. If you can get them talking, they are now starting to move into the mode where if you listen long enough to people, eventually they'll say some of these phrases like, I guess you have something for me to sign, or there's some paperwork you need me to sign. And the whole goal is that they ask me. I'm not asking them, because I don't really like that ask for the order thing. That to me that's not natural. Natural is when they ask you, do you have a pen? I'm ready to sign. I love what you've told me. And so
that's the best, when you know that you've done a good job, when you don't have to close them, they choose to hire you, or they choose.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, you talk about that accountability thing. I had a coach for 6 months a couple of years ago, and every day he had me email him what I did every 15 minutes the prior day. And that really took some gumption to not miss 7 days a week of that. Because we try to take one day off, even though it's hard in this business to do that, especially when the seasons are on and the crops in the field. We need to get it back out. And that means, sorry, Saturday, Sunday, weekends, nights, and holidays, when everybody else is off, we need to be on. So those are that's kind of probably what brought me through the book thing, is being able to really to account for every second of my day.
When you're on the listing appointment, the job thing, I just still love. Are there other things that you do that you attribute to your success on the listing appointment?
Oh, 100%, Darryl. Excuse me. I have my listing presentation. I have 7 3.5 by 5 cards, so they're recipe cards with the questions that I want to ask, because I say you're paid in direct proportion to the quality of the questions you ask. Let me repeat that. You're paid in direct proportion to the quality of the questions you ask. And that's our job. Someone once told me, ask 500 questions and show 5 houses to make the sale. Don't show 500 houses and only ask 5 questions. You got to get that in everything about sales is, as you know, question based. And so you're constantly digging to find out points that people will help move the process, and you are digging how motivated they are to see if there's something that's going to stand behind you spending the next 2 weeks with people, only to have them say they're going to rent.
Right.
And I'm not a leasing agent. There's other people in my office that do that. I don't. We're not that kind of a East Coast, West Coast, Florida agent that's making income off from that and doing very well at it. Our business is about listing and selling. So go back to your question on that. I'm digging really deep, but once I get on that first name basis, once I find out what they do or did through my use of proper questions, and if we go to just the listing side, I know there's 5 basic objections that any seller has in the back of their head.
Okay, go.
Price, commission, length of the contract, why you, and what are you going to do? That's it right there. And I've got 3 or 4 or 5 great responses for every one of them based on what they did or do for work. And that's how I relate what I'm going to say. First commission that everybody wants to hit me with is, what do you charge for a commission? Now, that's if I'm at their kitchen table and they ask that question. I always answer it with a higher percentage and we laugh about it. I never give them the number that I might come to. It's always something like 15 or 20%. I
So it's a real ridiculous number just to break the ice. Yeah.
And it works every single time because probably 90% of the time they never ask again. They just go with whatever's on the paperwork. Now, lots of our customers, about 94% of our business year in and year out is repeat and referral in our sphere.
Okay.
So we've really doubled, tripled, quadrupled down on our communication and providing content-rich information to our past clients and our sphere. Now, our sphere right now is anybody in our market that owns 4 properties or more. So I go to the municipalities, I get a list of where their tax bills are sent, and I'm primarily trying to get to those sellers that own 4 properties or more because they like to buy and sell more real estate. NAR says the average person's moving every 9.8 years. So you're not going to see another person for 10 years except a referral that they might send, and I want those referrals. That's a huge part of our business, but our business is not built on anything to do with internet leads. This is what we spend right here on internet leads.
Wow.
I'm not going to give that. That's just not going to do that.
You're just not going to do it. Well, you don't have to. So do you focus primarily then on the investors that are buying and flipping property?
No, it's almost all still individual people.
Okay.
Some of them are investors. A couple of my big clients are investors, but the lion's share are mom and dad with a house.
Well, when you say 4 properties, so you see that when you go to the town records and you see 4 properties, you mean in their history or?
No, that they own right now.
Right now. Okay.
Right now, because I know that they're thinking of buying, selling more.
Yeah.
And since they have 4, they're kind of in the game.
Well, that's why I asked if they're investors, if they already have 4 properties.
Some are farmers.
Oh,
so
okay.
I wouldn't really call those investors.
No. Okay.
I mean, there's some people that are. There's such a huge transference of wealth that's going on right now in the United States that people are inheriting property left and right. I mean, that's probably 25% of our business. It used to be divorces. Right now, it's more like people that are inheriting their folks' estates and they want to get rid of it. And so we have a lot of connections with estate attorneys that funnel their business back to us. There's a funny thing in my book about how you can reward referrals. And there's like 2 schools of thoughts. What's a tax deductible item? Okay, $25 or something like that. But there is no law about the limit on gifts. So we reward our referrals really well. And everyone's different. We don't pay anybody for business. We're not paying unlicensed people. But hey, if an attorney sends us a good piece of business, we're not going to give them a $20 ham.
$20. Or what about a Starbucks cash card? $20? No. No, you're gonna give them something nice gift. All right. So why don't you? Because you've got how many things you've got in your book there? How many? What's the number?
Well, there's the 50 main things.
50 things. 50 things you must do to close 100 properties in 1 year. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So there's the 50 main things are spelled out in chapter 1. They're highlighted and they say you do these 50 things, but there's probably another 250 things in the book.
Got it.
That we do. Now, you may only pick up 1 or 2 things out of that book and your business might explode. You might say, what? You do what? Yeah, I'll give you an example. We buy moving trailers, single axle trailer that you can go buy for $1,400, $350 logo, 3 sides, insure it for about $100 a year, and offer it to your buyers and sellers to move, and it's a billboard in everybody else's driveway. Absolutely. We lend it out to our other realtors that we're co-broking with, that they aren't even part of our deal, and our trailer's sitting in their client's front yard. So that costs very little. When you figure out what a billboard costs, I'm just blown away because we're kind of in the moving business.
Yes. Well, we are, aren't we? Well, when you really think about it,
People
Now,
love it.
let me what's your CRM that you're using to stay in touch with your clients?
Very, very simple. It's just Excel spreadsheet, and I'm
No,
constantly in it. I,
no.
yeah, I'm constantly in it every single day because we have so many mailings going out. We do 4 mailings around our listings, just listed, just pended, just sold. But if it's not our listing, we sold it. Technically, you can't promote that you sold that. So then we introduce the neighbors. So we say, introduce the neighbors.
Okay.
So we send a card. So I'm getting mail back all the time. So I know my sphere all the time. And that's what I'm using. I don't have any fancy stuff for that. I don't have a lot of money
Well,
going.
wait a second, Mark. So let's say somebody you sold a house to 10 years ago.
Yeah. Mhm.
I mean, do you know birthdays? Do you do you keep track of the referrals that one client may have given you? Like,
I
so,
get
so go ahead.
Nope. All I do is try to get their new address, their names, and their cell phone numbers so that I can try to call them all the time. I'm constantly trying to call 5 of my past clients every single day. That's the goal. So what am I doing when I'm doing that? Never mention any of that old crap about, do you know anybody that wants to buy or sell real estate? The highest form of compliment you can give me is a referral of your friends, family, and associates. Throw that trash away. That is old garbage. Nobody should be teaching that, okay? Here's what you do. You say, how you doing? Now, remember, 80% of the people that you call, you're going to get their voicemail.
Right.
So 4 or 5 this is going to take you no time. So 2 years ago, I decided to call all 540 of our past hot referral partners and past customers. So I called them all. And what I did was I had a series of questions that I followed up with emails asking them for a little testimonial review of what they thought of our service.
Okay.
So I got a release from these people that I could use their information. I collected up about 200 testimonials, and I used this as my business card and one marketing piece. What this looks like our regular business card.
Hold it up a little higher. Yeah, okay.
It looks like our business card, okay? But inside of it, we have 200, because it's a review economy, we have 200 testimonials from our past clients and customers and other agents that we've done business with that gave us this. So while I produced this book, I wrote another book on how to do this for realtors, all right? Because this is so simple, but I don't understand why the realtors are not calling their past clients. They're either one, thinking the service they gave them stunk, so they've got to keep buying leads and trolling all around the country to get new business when the best business they have is their past business.
Right.
So now if you're having a bad day and you're feeling down, or you get a bad egg, 3% of the people are bad eggs, I call them, or nasty people. You go back to your book and you read what some people had to say about you, and you go, wow, I seriously changed lives. But this is a great marketing piece. What this cost, I don't know, and this didn't cost us that much. The books are $2 a piece. Best business card you can give out.
That is awesome. You're right. That's a great business card. Wow, I'm going to share this interview with my whole entire team because they're going to get a kick out of this. This is good stuff. All right. So what other suggestions, Mark, that you love to share with people for agents to help improve their business? Yeah, I had a whole set of questions, but you're doing great just on your running with this.
Okay, I'll give you a couple good ones we do. We try to hold 2 really quality, what I call VIP events. I call them CAP parties, client appreciation parties. Okay, we invite the people. When they get there, we have a video testimonial booth that we ask them to go in, and we kind of prompt them to talk about their experience on video with us so we can run that through onto our website or use it on our social media channels. So we feed them, we give them booze, we have a good time. I mean, we keep it under control, but that depends on where we have it. That might be $3,000 to $5,000. The referrals that come out of that, oh, I cannot tell you what the clients, I mean, people are spending how much money on realtor.com and these other sites, and I've got no axe to grind with that. That's a business, independent business decision that every realtor can make, and I'm not going to influence that. I just know that if you spent that money on your clients, because everything I do is designed for one thing, to get the phone to ring.
Right.
Okay, I want people to call me.
Right.
I want people to say, call so-and-so, they're going to sell their house.
Right.
Wow. I make a note. I send them a present, a gift. I usually have it delivered, or I bring it to the referring person's work with balloons. So they tell all their friends, what's this? Well, I referred Mark and his team to my neighbor that's thinking of selling their house, and he brought you that at your work? Yeah. Okay. So we do 4 or 5 other really good community things each year too. We have flower flat giveaways to all of our customers. We have pumpkin day. We give pumpkins away. We have a Christmas tree event, and we give away about 150 of our clients Christmas trees. Try not to step on the Hanukkah part of it, but we give Christmas trees.
Okay.
And we have Easter egg hunts. So we're really busy in our community, letting people know that we support our community hard. We do a lot of, there's a couple big parades. We're in the parades.
Okay.
We give away stuff. We make major donations we keep that quiet. We don't promote that at all. That we kind of hold to ourselves. We have a couple billboards. I am a seminar junkie. I got to tell you, I love to learn new information. But these are things you're asking me. What do we do? Well, everything I do is designed again to get that phone to ring. But here's what I do. I say I do 4 things every day. I list, I sell, and I close, and I prospect for more of the first 3. I list, I sell, and I close, and I prospect for more of the first 3. The rest is a bunch of BS, and I try desperately to get 50 hours of real estate work in. I don't mean coffee pot with the other realtors and reading magazines. You know, there's a John Patterson, a guy I read a whole thing on him. He's the inventor of the cash register. He bought the patent in 1890 something. And he started selling cash registers the days before there were cash registers.
Okay.
He hired this whole team of salespeople to go out and sell a product that never existed. He built this company, NCR, into this global, huge company. I think it's in Dayton, Ohio. Anyway, he had a saying. He said, if a salesman can't sell their product or service, is it the product or service's fault? Or is it the salesman's? And so, I don't know. I just.
That's a good point. That's a great point. Now, when you prospect, what do you do to prospect? Are you calling FSBOs expireds, or are you doing other activities? No. Okay.
No FSBOs, no expireds. I'm just trying to get on the phone with my clients, or get out of the office and go knock on my clients' doors, or run into builders at job sites and try to network with them.
Okay.
I have a little thing I'll show you here. It hangs on my desk. It's been here for 30 some years, this little piece of paper. And I'll read you these things every day. I say, has today been filled with positive, encouraging thoughts? Am I working hard or hardly working? Have I organized my day $20 an hour or $2,000 an hour? Has anyone influenced me like Darryl, positively or negative today? Have I taken the training and applied it? Do I realize that success is not obtained overnight? Have I controlled my emotion? And am I willing to pay the price? Okay, that hangs right in front of me. That's just like burning down into my subconscious, unconscious every single day, because it's so easy to think you're working. A lot of people say they're taking 2 hours of work and calling it an 8-hour workday. That's what most realtors do. What does NAR say? The average realtor's selling 6 to 7 sales a year.
I think it's 6. I want to say it's even less actually, but okay.
I can't. You got to treat this as a business, not a country club. It's not a hobby. It's what it is. I mean, I like to say I've been through, I don't know, 4 or 5 pretty serious recessions and still sell real estate. Didn't give up. I mean,
What would you say, because you've written so many books, you've read a ton. Is there like one book that you would say was a defining moment for you in your real estate career? This one book.
yeah. And it wasn't as much for my real estate career as it was for my whole overall career. See,
Okay.
my wife and I have built about 100 subdivisions, master plan communities, and condominium developments that we were either the developer or the marketing arm for them. So this book, and I know you've heard of it, Think and Grow Rich. So that was before I even got into real estate. Probably your whole holy grail. I try to read it once a year. I know I've read it more than 100 times. I have 50 of them on my shelf in my library, because when people talk about what it's going to take to get ahead, I give them the book. I got them direct from Don Green, right from the foundation, because I just know that works. I just know it does. That self-talk. We have, I don't know, 57,000 self-conversations a day with ourselves. So what are you telling yourself? I can't do it. Never works. You don't understand my market. All this baloney, that's just total nonsense. Anything's possible if you put your mind to it. You don't.
I guess because I swear to you, Mark, that was my book. That one book, of all the books I read, and I haven't read as many as you, but of all the books I read, that was the first book that I read my first year of real estate. And it was, that for me was the book. So that's really great. Wow, this is how are we doing on time here? I want to see if I can get a couple of more questions in. I'm just blown away by, so it seems like overall, like, so technology, buying leads, it's not any of that. What I'm hearing, it's relationships.
100%.
Yeah.
And what this book is. It's relationship selling and how to get people to know, like, and trust. I have 6 words I take out of my selling vocabulary. Okay. Now, the only time I say them is I sing them in my seminars, those 6 words. Okay. You know, I'm not a very good singer, so you don't play this back too many times and sit in the side and laugh.
If it's really bad, I'll edit this out.
Okay, so here's the song. Truth, honest, trust, believe, guarantee, and recommend. Never let me hear you say those words again. Truth, honest, trust, believe, guarantee, and recommend. Never let me hear you say those words again. And take those words out of your vocabulary. In here, I give you the words to replace it with. And because our words in sales are really our only tools. My dad was a carpenter, and he had saws and hammers and ladders and jacks and nails and screws, and you name it. And Dad taught me a lot by showing me how to do things. In our profession, there's very few people like you and I that are willing to show people how to do it. You know, you tell me who has anything like this. You tell me who's teaching this and are still really doing it at the highest level. Not very many people. They're either one, too busy, or they're just, they have this, I'm not going to give away my trade secrets. Are you kidding me? They're not secrets.
Well, you know what's really what's really funny about you holding up the testimonial book disguised as a business card is that's goes against everything that everybody's talking about now, meaning that print is dead. Technology, social media, that's where it's at. So you're doing the total opposite, like almost like an old school. Like those are testimonies you can like send out on an email, or like there's softwares online designed to collect testimonials. So here you are just taking that one simple thing, flipping it on its head and putting it in print, going against the norm. But what's powerful about that too is that ultimately with all the social media, all the websites, everything else, it's still belly to belly, face to face, to people business, ultimately that's where you're going to end up, is face to face with somebody.
That will never change. This notion that realtors are going to become extinct, that's the biggest freak out thing, that we're never needed more than we are right now. When I started this thing, there was a one-page purchase agreement, a handshake with your local bank. Maybe grandpa came over and looked in the attic, looked at the outside for your inspection, and we closed the deal.
That was the inspection with you.
And so now we have agency disclosure. We scare the crap out of people with that. And then we have pages of disclaimers and disclosures and sellers disclosures and pages of purchase agreements, and on and on and on the stuff goes, because one person got sued somewhere. So we keep coming up with more disclosures, all this stuff. We're scaring the crap out of people. And somebody thinks that people are going to do this on their own?
No.
Are you kidding me?
Mark, let me ask you, how did you get into when did you get into, I know you said it was 30 some odd years you've been in the business? 38. But what did you do before, and why did you get into real estate?
Just prior to getting into real estate, I worked for my dad as a carpenter. And Dad built homes. He built homes and subdivisions for 55 years. He was hands-on. You know, he'd meet the client in the morning and give them a hug on their way to work, get the decisions made, and then we would take over, and we did a lot of the work on homes. He maybe built 7 to 10 spec homes a year.
Okay.
So I grew up in that trade.
Gotcha.
And Dad taught us a lot about human nature. I'll tell you a quick story. We joked around a lot and had fun and giggled and laughed on the job site. But when a potential buyer stepped foot on his job site, he had one rule. You shut your mouth, and there's only one word you're allowed to say when that buyer might be there. And it was hollering out all over the site. What do you think that one word is, Darryl?
I was going to say yes, sir, but that's 2 words. So.
Perfect.
Perfect. Okay.
The whole site is hollering, perfect, perfect. Perfect. The buyer says, "Oh my gosh,
this is perfect.
This place. This is perfect. These guys really take their business serious." And we did. Dad probably built one of the most quality homes around, and we learned a lot about, human nature and taking good care of people and paying people on time and just following good old-fashioned ethics. Once in a great while, he would turn someone down, not build a home for him because his gut told him, his instinct said, no amount of money is worth working with a jerk. So that's how I got into the game. And Mom and Dad said, you really have something. You just kind of have that soft sell, gift of gab that people will really TRUST you, because I just won't buffalo people. I tell it like it is. And if I don't have the answer, I get it for them really fast. I try to answer my phone right now. And that's what most of the realtors aren't doing. So if you teach one thing, just tell the realtors to answer their doggone phone.
Yeah, right.
What are you doing? Pick up the phone and answer it when it rings. Hey, hello. I know we all get busy and we all have other things we're doing, but I don't know. That's a lot. Now, couple things. I love Facebook, and I know we're connected on Facebook.
Yeah.
And so I get a bang out of following that. I just think that's just the neatest thing in the world. I try to run about 80% personal stuff and learning stuff, and maybe only 20% about real estate.
Okay.
I'm trying to intermingle more videos with the captions on the bottom, like how to maintain your hot water heater to get 30 years out of it.
Right.
Do you realize that your CO detector has a wick inside of it, and when that wick wears out, it's no longer working?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you just found that out. And so there's a wick inside there, and there's an expiration on the back, and when that wick wears out, that thing's not working anymore. Throw it away. So that kind of stuff is what I'm trying to provide content to the public through social media. And the one thing I really like is Facebook. If I told you 3-4 years ago how much money we made just because we connected with our clients that we hadn't found for years, high school friends and whatnot.
Mm.
Oh, I just think the world of that. Some people, a lot of realtors tell me, oh, I don't want people to know what I'm doing. And it goes to that secret agent thing. So you
Now,
don't want.
do you use, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but do you use the Facebook, your social, or do you have a business page that
Both.
you're reconnecting with people? But when you're
Both.
reconnecting with people and finding people, and would you say it's mostly from the personal page or from the business page?
Mostly personal.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I have
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I got 5,000 friends.
Okay.
They limit you to that on your
Right.
personal. You have no limit on your business. We're not quite to 1,500 followers on our business page, and that, I don't know. There's more people that I don't know on there than what I know. The 5,000 on the other, and so if you say technology is Facebook, then I'm all in.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. Got it. Okay. Well, listen, this was, Mark, this is absolutely super duper. And man, I could talk to you for hours. Obviously, people got to get your book because you didn't hold it up enough. Could you hold it up one more time? 50 things. All right, let me see that. 50 things. Hold it up higher. 50. There we go. Say it's sold. 50 things you must do to close 100 properties in 1 year. Mark, where did they get that? I'm assuming on Amazon, yeah?
Nope, I don't sell much through Amazon.
Okay.
Two or three of my books are there. The best thing is go to Sold by Gleason, email me, and we'll get it to you.
Okay.
We self-market all of our stuff. We self-publish all of our stuff, and so that's the best way. And if you have questions about like this or this,
Yeah.
we'll be happy to talk to you. I mean, I talk to people all the time. I don't have a clue who these realtors are getting a hold of me, but I have no problem helping them.
One more time. What's your website, contact, email, all that stuff?
Yeah, my email, you can get a hold of me through soldbygleason.com, www.soldbygleason.com, all lowercase letters, and I'll be happy to answer you however I can. It comes right to my phone, and I'll see, wonder what they need, see if I can help them.
Got it.
That's what we do.
Yeah, I think I was silly. I think I was silly in not asking this at the beginning of the call. Where are you located? What part of the country?
Grand Haven, Michigan.
Oh, that's right. You did tell me. Now that you did that, I remembered right away. Okay. All right, super. My head's spinning. You've given me so much. It's awesome stuff.
I love it.
All right,
I love it.
Stay right here. I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. So, gang, there you go. With Mark gave some great information. If you just glean and implement one or two things, it's going to really help your business. Mark, thanks again so much, and I'll keep smiling. All right.
Yeah, great talking to you, Darryl.